Crown. Once a year, the city of Crown opens its doors. Corporate interests invite the public for a grand display. The event serves as a spectacle to unveil and demonstrate the newest and most outrageous inventions the city has produced. Rumors on the nature of this year's event centered around the field of biomechanics. Some speculated cyborg augmentations, others gene splicing. But the most credible theory was telepathy. The world was left to wonder as massive construction began throughout the city. New roads, train stations, hotels, all went up quickly, but the most impressive was the stadium. From the size of the stadium, you could tell they were predicting massive attendance. It became the largest stadium in the world. 24 stories tall and a mile in diameter, the stadium, named Colossus, was just a teaser of things to come. When the announcement finally came, the world was flabbergasted. 80,000 tickets sold in the first hours, 1.3 million by the end of the day. Presented by the City of Crown in partnership with CoreOpt International, the first of its kind, Giant Fights. Made possible with cutting-edge cloning and gene editing techniques, clones were grown to a staggering 200 feet tall. Their brains, left underdeveloped for safety, were enslaved to the genetic donor through Crown's second most impressive breakthrough, a brain-to-brain interface allowing the donor to control all movements. The announcement left the world divided. Arguments of the ethics and intended uses were all anyone could talk about for the months leading up to the event. It held everyone's attention, and I'm partly to blame. As a journalist, it is my job not only to report the facts, but report the facts that people want to hear. Giant Fights were a bottomless well from which any information was devoured. Articles speculating, theorizing, or even regurgitating, it all sold. If a rising tide raises all boats, Giant Fights were a tsunami that filled the cracks of our culture, uniting the world, at least in interest. Of the roughly 2 million tickets sold, my newsroom was able to acquire one for every reporter, totaling 30 tickets. They must have cost a king's ransom. Tickets became impossible to get, and when the people in my life found out, I received inquiries from everyone except my wife. She had always been the pragmatic one, and she was the only one I knew that didn't want to go. Her reason was simple, but rang true. Something that size will be hard to control. Showing her Crown's press release, I did my best to explain something I didn't fully understand myself. It's like they grow them stupid, so that if something goes wrong, they'll just stand there drooling. Her face knows me too well. I just don't want anything to happen to you, she said. The worst that's going to happen is one of those giants gets beaten bloody. I know my words didn't sway her, and the concern on her face let me know I had better be right. As weeks turned to days, the productivity in the office began to slow. The excitement of the unknown slowly strangled anything that wasn't planning the trip. While closer than most, our office was still a 6-hour drive and several hours by train. On the day of the event, I, as well as 2 million others, made haste for Crown. On the last leg of the train ride, my excitement turned to nervousness. The words of my wife lingered in my head. Maybe caution would be wise. This kind of crazy scenario, there will be many people, new technologies, with violence for entertainment. Her words now sobering, I recognized the potential for chaos is there. As the day turned to night, I arrived. Upon entering the city, it became apparent everything in Crown is purpose-built. The aesthetic of the city is functional. Every building aided in some component of the innovation process. I can't help but feel out of place and that the sea of humanity is trespassing. However, upon inspection, I noticed the diversity of the crowd inspiring. Every variation of human is present, and all seem to be laser-focused on getting to the stadium. The new roads and infrastructure have a purpose. Movement through the city is swift, and entry into the stadium is expedited. I find my seat on the 22nd floor, and am in awe of the stadium itself. Colossus is an appropriate name, as the true scale of the space is hard to internalize. Rarely have I experienced the open air at this height, and never with 2 million others. The view to the stadium floor is too far to make out any small details. However, I'm able to tell that the floor is metallic, and certain large markings imply that parts may open like trapdoors. Across the arena, the people are near imperceptible. I know they are there because of the crowd around me. Not an open seat in sight, and I have no doubt that it continues to the far side. It won't be long now. The event is scheduled to start at 8 p.m., and it is 7:55. Time slowed down as 7:59 clicked to 8, but at precisely that moment, the stadium lights dimmed. The roar of the crowd erupted with anticipation. A pause, then nothing. The crowd cheers again, hoping to activate the show. Suddenly, the stadium lights blast on. The lights are blinding, even though they weren't moments before. A concerned voice cracks over the stadium speakers. "Attention! Tonight's event has been rescheduled. Please evacuate the stadium immediately." 2 million spectators groan and boo in unison. The announcement repeats again this time, followed by an automated message that lists the exit routes. I hear my wife's words repeat in my head, "I don't want anything to happen to you." Her concerns are now baseless, as nothing will happen tonight, but still. The sudden cancellation and the betrayal of millions has me nervous. This many people filled with anger is possibly more dangerous than a giant. Collecting myself, I rely on my wife's intuition to compel me towards the exit. The jeers of the masses fill the halls and stairways. The efficiency of the crown degrades, and Exodus resembles an organic ooze that spills out onto the streets. Standing in front of the stadium, I'm reminded of my duties as a reporter, and without an event, I'm without a story. I should get some interviews, I think, as around me thousands are regrouping. The unexpected change, coupled with the anticlimactic result, have many lingering in hopes that something will happen as suddenly as it didn't. "Excuse me, sir, would you mind if I ask?" The ground rumbles, and a far dull roar silences the crowd. Screams, some close, but many distant. Another explosion, this time closer. Panic settles onto the crowd. Many flee, but me and others are paralyzed with uncertainty. The screams get louder and closer. A succession of booming explosions moves near finishing with a slam. The stadium wall flexes in front of me. Glass and dust shoot out, falling onto the crowd below. Victims. At once, I see a mass the size of a bus lands on the roof of the stadium. The paralysis of uncertainty dissolves, and the electric understanding of what's happening fires hard. A second mass, this time clearly a hand, lands on the roof, same as the first. Groans of twisting metal and crumbling concrete cascade from inside the stadium. A deep guttural breath of exertion bellows as now a head appears over the top of the stadium. A shaven but stubbly face and scalp rise, followed by naked neck and chest. This giant is now fully visible. Terror followed by panic ignites my flight response. Turning to run, I see the giant fling its tree-sized leg over the top of the stadium. More rubble falls. With my back turned, I can only imagine why a group of screams suddenly stopped. More victims. Off the curb and down the street I sprint. I try to block out the chaos and screams, but the ground-shaking booms of giant feet force me to look. Careening over top of me, I see man meat. The flesh of an anatomically correct man passes through my gaze, and its foot lands half a block in front of me. The shockwave causes me to stumble, but this giant naked man has broken into a sprint. In seconds, it's a mile away, and a few seconds more, it's out of view. Distant crashes fade, and the cries of the injured are all that remain. Voices of humanity and journalistic obligation scream to return to the scene, but the thought of my wife vetoes them all. I make my way towards the train, shaken and skittish. Fear has won the night, but tomorrow the search for answers begins.